I say this a lot in my videos, but Formula One truly is the gateway drug to motorsports. Due to Drive to Survive and the increased popularity, Formula One is the most accessible, but once you get started on motor racing, you can't stop. This year in particular, I've begun to dabble into F2, F3, IndyCar, and I even watched a NASCAR Sprint Cup race, although that was only because of Jensen Button and Kimi Räikkönen. So I figured I would rank the 4 motorsport series that I have been following this year, and maybe convince some of you to get invested as well. Okay, in 4th I have F3. Now don't get me wrong, the F3 racing is very chaotic. The series is made up of primarily young drivers that are still honing their craft. There are a few who are incredibly talented that are already showing hints of a future in F1, while there are also a few who are just incredibly happy to be there and unintentionally cause chaos on the track. However, for me personally, in order to get invested in a sport, I need the human connection. Since most of the drivers in F3 are new faces, I don't know very much about them. Something that I hope F3 can do is something similar to F2 with the Chasing the Dream series. It introduces you to the drivers, and I feel like there isn't enough of that in F3 for me. Don't get me wrong, I'll still be watching, but it will take me some time to get fully invested. Ask me again at the end of the season though. In 3rd, and this might be surprising, I have F1. I know, I'm an F1 channel, but I have F1 in 3rd. In 2021, it easily would have been 1st. There is no doubt about that. But now that I'm a few years into it, I've learned that that is an exception and not the rule. When one team and one driver runs away with every race, it does take a lot of the excitement out of it. So far, the races in 2023 have been either lackluster or completely unhinged, but not really in a good racing way. Australia. I love that the midfield is so tight this year, but when there isn't a battle at the front, it just isn't as exciting. When F1 is good though, it is really good. All the politics and the technical elements of the sport do make it exciting even when the racing isn't. Between Drive to Survive, behind the scenes content from the teams, and drivers' social media, it isn't hard to stay invested. I'm really hoping that the racing improves later on in the year, but as of right now, F1 just isn't quite as exciting as some of the other racing series out there. 1st and 2nd are incredibly close in my books, but right now 2nd place goes to IndyCar. This might have been 1st until the race at Long Beach this past weekend. If anyone is more knowledgeable about IndyCar, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it felt like Long Beach is like the Monaco of IndyCar. There was not much passing on track on that one. However, the first 2 races in St. Pete and on the Texas Motor Speedway were incredible. Being essentially a spec series, the racing is so tight with at least a dozen drivers able to win on any given weekend, and the drivers really go for it. However, I think IndyCar is missing a bit of the promotion of its drivers. They are coming out with the series called 100 Days to Indy though at the end of April, so I'm hoping that will give a little more insight into the drivers and their personalities. There is one reason currently, and one reason only, that I'm invested in IndyCar though, and that is Pato O'Ward. In 2022, for McLaren's F1 car launch, they talked to the McLaren drivers in Extreme E and IndyCar, and I'm telling you, I watched that one interview with Pato and I was immediately obsessed. The man has Riz, and he hooked me the exact same way that Daniel Ricciardo hooked me the moment he appeared on Drive to Survive. And it isn't just that the guy has a larger-than-life personality, his performance in Texas was incredible. I saw somewhere that he had 93 overtakes in that race, which is more overtakes than have happened in the first 3 F1 races this year combined for all of the drivers. I didn't really understand oval racing until then, and Pato is a star in the making. It's too bad he finished 2nd twice this year, and Long Beach was pretty rough. My biggest criticism of IndyCar though is its qualifying format and the fact that it's just a tad too American. Like, what is with the prayer before the race? Like, I'm sorry, it's just too much. I can't. Yeah, that's America for you. And so that means that 1st place for me right now is F2. This season is shaping up to be one for the ages, with many people comparing it to the 2018 season in terms of driver talent and overall competitiveness. There are so many drivers that can win a race on any given weekend. So far at each race, one driver has dominated to take pole, but that has not carried over to the sprint or the race. Théo Pourchaire was looking like an early favorite, but he has a tendency to be a bit too aggressive and it has cost him. Similarly for Victor Martins. The Red Bull Juniors of Iwasa and Hauger are looking competitive too. Then you have journeymen like Ralph Boschung and Juan Manuel Correa, who is an incredibly inspiring person. If you have not heard of them, like the Pit Stop Boys, then you should definitely look him up. Just a heartbreaking story and so inspiring to see him come back and be able to race in F2 again. And then you have the rookies of Arthur Leclerc, Zane Maloney, and Ollie Behrman. And how could I forget characters like Jack Doohan and Clem Novalak? F2 has also done an incredible job of promoting the series with their Chasing the Dream videos on F1 TV and YouTube, and it's honestly what a motorsport documentary should be. But the racing, oh my god, the racing. If you haven't seen the sprint race in Saudi Arabia, what are you even doing with your life? Are you really a motorsports fan? Like, unbelievable race. Cannot believe how good that race was. And nearly every session so far this year has been nearly at that level. So if you watch any racing series this year, let it be F2, you will not regret it. I wouldn't be surprised to see probably like 5 or 6 drivers from this grid in F1 at some point down the line. So that is my ranking of the motorsport series that I'm currently invested in. I know that there are so many other series out there such as WEC, NASCAR, and MotoGP, but a girl only has so much time. But by all means, if you're a fan of those series, pitch them to me and maybe I'll get invested in them too. I mean, motorsports is taking over my life, so what's another one? Let me know your ranking of motorsports in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more F1 content over this incredibly long break. Honestly, I can't believe it's only been 2 weeks and we still have 2 more weeks to go. I cannot wait for Baku. See you guys around. Bye.